Have you ever experienced something like this? You open your heart to someone who seems genuinely kind, only to end up hurt and distant. When you keep too much distance, you feel lonely, but get too close, and you end up wounded. These frustrating dynamics are what Arthur Schopenhauer famously described as the porcupine dilemma. In the cold of winter, porcupines huddle together for warmth, but the closer they get, the more their quills pierce each other. Too close, they hurt each other. Too far, they freeze to death. Human relationships aren't so different. We long for connection, but intimacy often comes with pain and isolation with sorrow. So how can we find the right distance in human connection? Schopenhauer left us with 3 essential warnings about relationships, powerful truths that, if we remember them, can help us avoid needless disappointment and emotional scars. Just knowing these can be enough to protect your peace. Before we begin, thank you. Your support of this channel means everything. If you find this message valuable, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps us create more content that nurtures the heart and inspires reflection. Let's begin. Warning. Number 1. Don't trust people too easily. Trust must be earned with care. There are 2 kinds of people in this world, Schopenhauer once said, those who use others and those who are used. Most people believe that relationships are built on trust, but Schopenhauer warned the opposite. Blind trust invites betrayal. At first, this may sound overly cynical, but if you reflect honestly, perhaps you've experienced this too. You trusted someone with your heart, only to be met with betrayal. Someone you thought was different, someone you believed would never hurt you, did. In the beginning, there's anger, even heartbreak. But with time, a deeper realization settles in. Was I too naive? Was I blind to who they truly were? And that's when Schopenhauer's words return to mind. Human nature is inherently selfish. Trust should never be given lightly. He emphasized that in human relationships we must lower our expectations, not abandon trust entirely, but grant it with discernment, not desperation. There's a story. One day, Schopenhauer was sitting in a German cafe sipping his coffee. At a nearby table, a man was venting to his friend. "I trusted him completely," he said, "and he stabbed me in the back. After all I did for him, how could he?" Overhearing this, Schopenhauer chuckled quietly and said, "Of course he could. You overestimated humans." The man, startled, turned to him. "Still," he said, "he was my friend. Isn't friendship built on trust?" Schopenhauer gently put down his cup and replied, "Would you leave your fish with a cat?" Human nature is selfish. Trust is not something you give away freely. Did the man understand? Probably not. Most of us think we're the exception. But reality is cold. Betrayal rarely comes from strangers. It comes from those closest to us. Throughout life, we build many relationships, family, friends, colleagues, neighbors, and yet betrayal often begins in those very spaces. I once had a coworker who I considered a close friend. We shared meals, helped each other through stressful projects, supported one another. But when promotion season rolled around, everything changed. Subtly, they began highlighting my mistakes, talking behind my back. "I don't even want the promotion," they once told me. "I hope you get it." But in truth, they were quietly undermining me at every turn. That's when I realized we weren't friends. I saw them as an ally. They saw me as competition. Have you ever lent someone money? At first, they beg with sincerity, "Please, just this once. I promise I'll pay you back. You can trust me." And you do. But later, their tone shifts. "I'm a little tight this month. I'll pay next month, I swear." Then, "What? You think I'm trying to avoid paying? Don't be petty." Soon your relationship crumbles. They avoid your calls. When you finally reach out, they say, I've been so busy. Can't you understand my situation? As if you're the one being unreasonable. There's a saying, when borrowing money, people bow before you. When it's time to repay, you're the one bowing before them. Schopenhauer understood this all too well. He once said, if you lend money, be prepared not to get it back. The moment you lend it, half of it is already gone. Worse still, it's often not just the money you lose, but the entire relationship. A person who once smiled and called you a friend now dodges you. They were only close while they had something to gain. When the benefit vanishes, so do they. Even among family or lifelong friends, there are no guarantees. Proximity doesn't ensure loyalty. Often, it's those closest who change the fastest. Many say, a true friend is the one who stands beside you when you're in trouble. But Schopenhauer argued that the real test is not during your hardships, but in your success. When you're broke, everyone shares a drink with you and says, don't worry. It's the heart that matters. But when your life begins to improve, when things start going well, people start to shift. At first they celebrate with you. Wow, that's amazing. But behind your back they say, they just got lucky. It's not like they did anything special. If you don't give back or treat them, suddenly you're the bad guy. You've changed. You used to be generous. Eventually, those who once stood beside you in hard times are the first to walk away when things go well. Schopenhauer put it simply, a true friend is not the one who is there when you need them, but the one who stays when you no longer do, and he was right. It's easy to comfort someone in their sorrow, but to genuinely rejoice in someone else's success, without jealousy, without hidden agendas, without shifting away, that's what defines a true relationship. In the end, trusting others too easily leads only to self-inflicted wounds. So what should we do? First, judge not by words, but by actions. Schopenhauer once said, don't believe what a person says, believe what they do. People can change their words. Their actions, however, don't lie. Some people speak with grace, promise loyalty, and say things like, I would never turn my back on you. We'll be together through anything. And yet, how many of those very people vanish the moment things change? This isn't to say we should never trust anyone, but trust must be given after careful observation, not before. If you offer faith to someone you barely know, thinking, this person would never hurt me, then when the mask falls, the pain will be yours to bear. Relationships are proven not through words, but through action. And if someone has betrayed you once, don't rush to trust again. Watch their actions over time. In most cases, someone who turns on you once will do it again. Time reveals character. Wait, observe, and then decide. Second, many who try to be kind end up being treated as weak. Schopenhauer warned of this clearly. There comes a moment when a favor turns into an obligation. You offer help out of goodwill, and the other person, initially thankful, begins to expect it. Hey, can you help me again? You're good at this. You did it last time, right? You can do it again, can't you? Come on. If you don't help, we're all going to be in trouble. Sound familiar? What began as kindness becomes their assumed right. And if you dare to say no, you're suddenly the villain. Wow, I didn't think you were like this. You've changed. You're so selfish now. I'm honestly disappointed. And then they leave. But the truth is, they were never truly yours to begin with. They stayed only as long as you gave them something. The moment they couldn't use you anymore, they were ready to disappear. So is the problem that you're too kind? The real problem is not setting clear boundaries. Yes, you can be kind. Yes, you can help. But you must define where that kindness begins and where it ends. I can help you this far, but beyond that, I can't. That one sentence, is it so hard to say? Yet kind people often hesitate. They're afraid of disappointing others, afraid of being seen as cold. But here's something important to remember. Someone who truly cares about you will not make you feel guilty for having limits. They won't burden you, they'll respect your boundaries. If someone can't accept your limits, then the relationship was never worth keeping. In the end, healthy relationships require healthy distance. Schopenhauer called this the porcupine dilemma for a reason. We want to share warmth but get too close and the spikes begin to pierce. Too close and we're hurt. Too far and we're alone. So what's the answer? Proper distance. Don't open your heart too easily. Don't judge by words, judge by actions. Be generous, but define your limits. And most importantly, don't strive to be a good person. Strive to be a wise one. People don't change easily, but the way we respond to them, that we can change. And in that change lies the beginning of something powerful, relationships that no longer leave us broken. Now, shall we move on to the second relationship principle Schopenhauer warned us about? Second, speak less. Never argue with rude or foolish people. Schopenhauer believed that there's one type of interaction we should absolutely avoid in human relationships: arguing with the foolish. He put it bluntly, to argue with a fool is like wrestling a pig in the mud. The pig enjoys it, but you just get dirty. At first, that may sound like an exaggeration. You might think, but what if it's unfair? What if they're saying something wrong? Shouldn't I defend myself? Yes, it's natural to feel that way. But Schopenhauer's wisdom is not about tolerating injustice. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Because the truth is, the other person isn't trying to have a thoughtful, logical discussion. They're not interested in listening. They're only trying to win by dragging you into an emotional reaction. So what happens when you try to argue? The answer is predictable. Voices rise, tempers flare, feelings get hurt. And afterward, you're left with a sour aftertaste and a regret that sounds like, why did I even say anything? I should have just walked away. Think about this familiar scene. The family gathers for the holidays. It's been a while since everyone's seen each other. You're catching up, sharing stories. Then someone says something careless. Don't you think today's politicians are a joke? Or, I support this party. What about you guys? Soon, what started as light conversation turns tense. Opinions clash, accusations fly. How can you not see this? You're so naive. You're the one being extreme. Do you even know what you're talking about? And before you know it, the entire mood of the gathering is ruined. Everyone leaves with bad feelings. You dread the next get-together. In these moments, it's not about who's right or wrong, because there is no final answer when beliefs are rooted in emotion and identity. Everyone just wants to defend what they already believe. The wise person, they nod and say, that's one way to see it, and move on. Some people don't talk to exchange ideas, they talk to dominate. They cling to your every word, looking for an opening to twist or attack it. You may begin the conversation thinking you're sharing opinions, but slowly it turns. The atmosphere shifts. You hear phrases like, your thinking is shallow. Who do you think you are to say that? And that's when alarm bells should go off in your head. This is no longer a conversation. This is a trap. Because these people don't want dialogue. They don't want to understand your side. They want to catch you, to corner you, to win. And the moment you try to explain yourself, thinking reason will prevail, they're already grinning inside. Gotcha. Now I can steer this wherever I want. If they run out of arguments, they'll shift the topic, twist your words, or go straight for your emotions. The discussion will spiral out of control, and once it turns into an emotional battle, you've already lost. Because this was never about logic, it was about ego. So what's the smartest move? Don't give them the reaction they crave. Say, that's an interesting perspective. Or, sure, I can see why someone might think that. Just like that, the fight dissolves. You refuse to engage. They lose interest. The argument ends before it begins. The most complete victory in any conflict is not winning the fight. It's never letting the fight start. And here's the truth. People who push you emotionally don't care about right or wrong. They just want to provoke, to wear you down, to make you explode. You've probably heard lines like, "If you're so smart, do everything yourself. I'm struggling here, and you don't care at all. You think you're better than everyone? Fine. Go live alone." And you feel it. The heat rising. The injustice. You want to respond, to defend yourself. But that's exactly what they want. They don't want understanding. They want to shake you. And the moment you give in, the moment you get upset, they pounce. "See? You're angry now. That proves I was right. You're just like I said. Selfish, arrogant, finally showing your true colors." There's only one way to win. Don't play. Don't give them that power. Stay calm. Smile. Say, "I hear you. Maybe you're right." And let them sit in their own emotional storm. They'll lose interest when they see they can't pull you in. So, does that mean staying calm is a weakness? Not at all. It means you're protecting your energy. Every fight you avoid saves you emotional pain and wasted time. So remember Schopenhauer's wisdom. Arguing with a fool doesn't prove you're right, it just makes you one of them. Silence, in the right moment, is your strongest weapon, because when you speak, nothing might change. But when you stay silent, at the very least, your peace and dignity remain intact. Next time someone tries to bait you into a pointless argument, pause and ask yourself, is there anything for me to gain from this? Or are they just trying to stir my emotions and drag me down? If it's the latter, and it usually is, the answer becomes crystal clear. Walk away. That is the most intelligent victory. Now let's move on to Schopenhauer's third rule for human relationships. Third, stop obsessing over how others see you. Live your own life. Few philosophers understood human nature as deeply as Schopenhauer. He saw clearly that people live their lives constantly weighed down by the gaze of others, without realizing one simple truth. No one else is going to live your life for you. Yet we spend so much of our time worrying about how we're perceived. He once wrote, "We live under the gaze of others, but that gaze will not take responsibility for our life." In other words, no matter what people say or think, they won't be there to carry your burdens when life gets hard. And still, we live as if their opinion is everything. Why is that? Why do we care so deeply about what others think of us? Let's be honest, we all do it. You want to try something new, take a bold step, choose an uncommon path, but the voice creeps in. Won't people think I'm weird? What if I fail? What will they say? Maybe I shouldn't bother, it'll just make me look foolish. So, you don't move forward. Even when your heart says yes, your fear of judgment says no. But ask yourself, do people really care that much about what you do with your life? Here's the strange truth, most don't. They'll talk for a moment, they'll judge for a second, and then they move on. Meanwhile, you spend years living under the weight of those few careless comments. Think about holidays. Family gatherings, reunions. Someone always throws out those classic lines. Still not married? Where do you work now? When are you going to settle down? You laugh awkwardly. You brush it off. But later, their words echo in your mind. Am I falling behind? Am I the only one struggling? And here's the real kicker. When life does get hard, those same people aren't there to help. The relative who pressured you about marriage, will they pay for your meals when you're down? The person who criticized your career, will they be there when you're overworked and overwhelmed? Of course not. They were never truly invested in your life, just passing commentary, thoughtless words. And yet, we let them shape the course of our decisions. We focus so much on how we're perceived. We buy nice cars, wear the right clothes, post filtered images of success, all to win approval, to hear them say, "You've made it." But here's the problem. Even if they clap for you today, they'll lose interest tomorrow. You buy a new car, they're impressed for a week. Then they shrug. Cool, so what? Validation is fleeting. The applause fades fast, and nobody is going to live your life for you. That's why your own satisfaction is what truly matters. Living the life you want, walking the path you choose. That is real success. Yet still, so many people live shackled by the eyes of others. They follow the life others want them to live, not the one they truly desire. School, friendships, jobs, marriage, status, always measured, compared, boxed into someone else's standards. But here's the question you must ask. Are those people going to live your life for you? Some might say, but I can't help it. I care what others think. And that's fair. But the solution is simple. Recognize the illusion. You think they're watching your every move. You feel like they're evaluating you constantly. But in reality, they're not. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to obsess over your life. You're just a passing topic, a quick piece of gossip before they move on with their day. They ask, "Still single? Where do you work? Any kids yet?" But if you hit a rough patch, if your life falls apart, will they help you? Will they pick up the pieces, console you, walk with you? Number. They're long gone. They've returned to their own lives, leaving you to carry the weight of their throwaway comments. So why live under the control of people who won't be there when it counts? People often say, don't live the life you want. Be realistic. Everyone else is doing this. Why should you be different? So, we conform. We take the job, we buy the house, we marry at the right time, we try to fit the mold. But then, at the end of the road, a deep regret sets in. This wasn't the life I wanted. And by then, time is gone. That's the tragedy. So, before it's too late, choose your path. Don't ask, what will people think? Ask instead, what will make me happy? Schopenhauer said, no one will live your life for you, so live for yourself. No one else will live your life. So stop fearing what others think. Yes, there will always be people who judge you, but you don't have to live according to their judgment. Some will criticize you. That doesn't mean your life is ruined. Others will praise you. That doesn't mean your life has changed. At the end of the day, the only one who can make your life truly fulfilling is you. You might walk a slower path than others. You might take a different route. But if that path is your path, then it's the perfect pace, the perfect direction. Remember Schopenhauer's words, no matter how others see you, you must live your own life. Throughout our lives, we form countless relationships, and along the way, we experience disappointments, both big and small. Sometimes we're betrayed by the ones we trusted most. Sometimes a single careless word leaves a wound that lasts for years. And sometimes we become so afraid of other people's opinions that we stop living the life we truly want. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Let Schopenhauer's 3 timeless warnings live in your heart. 1. Don't trust too easily. Choose whom you trust with care. And if that trust breaks, protect your heart so it doesn't shatter completely. 2. Don't argue with fools. You don't have to win every debate. Sometimes silence is the wisest answer. Sometimes protecting your peace is the greatest victory. 3. Don't live through the eyes of others. Live your life. No one else will do it for you. This isn't about distrusting everyone or becoming cold. It's about learning how to guard your energy, your emotions, your boundaries. It's about realizing that you don't need to sacrifice yourself to be accepted, liked, or understood. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to say no. It's okay to choose a different pace, a different dream, a different life. You don't have to explain yourself to people who were never willing to understand you in the first place. And you don't have to shrink just to fit into the expectations others have built for you. So today, ask yourself, what insight did I gain? Have I been carrying too much for too long? Maybe now it's time to let go. Let these 3 pieces of wisdom from Schopenhauer become your anchor. Let them steady you when relationships get difficult, when emotions threaten to overflow, when the world feels too loud. And when your heart begins to tremble, when you start to doubt yourself again, remember just one thing: I must live my life. Because that's the only path to true freedom. What did this video make you reflect on? Have you experienced something similar? Feel free to share your thoughts and stories in the comments. Your words might become the comfort and clarity that someone else needs right now. If this message helped you in any way, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And please consider subscribing and liking. It's your support that keeps this channel going. Thank you for being part of this journey. This was Mindfully Yours, and I wish you a gentle, wise day ahead.